Hey guys, welcome back to Boss Fan TV, and today we are going to be doing our predictions for the 2022 League of Origins season. Season starts this day next week, so I think it's about time that we do our predictions. Obviously, transfers can still happen. There probably won't be much happening in transfers, but it can still happen. Obviously, teams can strengthen their scores, but I think now is probably the appropriate time to make the predictions. So we're going to start with the bottom. This probably won't come as a surprise to many people, but I'm gonna go with UCD. They brought in a couple of good players, a few good young players. They do produce a lot of good young players, but they brought a few good young players in, like Tom Lonergan, Dylan Duffy from Shamrock Rovers, two decent young players. They're all very young. They've lost a couple of players, likes of Paul Doyle to Dundalk, who was Paul Doyle was a good player for them last year. They've still got Kerrigan and Whelan. They'll probably be leaving in the summer, so it's all about how they replace them, I suppose, and how they kind of get on. Are they confident? Do the players think that they can hold their own against a lot of the teams in the league who have more experience and quality? I just don't think they'll be good enough over the course of the season. I'm not surprised really. I've gone with them bottom of the league. I don't think they'll be as struggling much as they were in 2019 when they were getting battered nearly every week and they just had no confidence whatsoever. So, yeah, I think that's a fairly straightforward one. UCD bottom. Um, I found ninth difficult, but there's probably two or three teams I could finish there. But I'm gonna go with Finn Harps. They brought a couple of kind of unknown players in. I think Mihailovic, I think is how you pronounce his name, a striker from abroad who has a decent record. Goal scoring wise abroad, but again, I don't really know how he's going to get on in the League of Ireland. Bastion Heary, player that we all know well, signed for Bottles last year. He's gone to Finn Harps. That could be a decent signing if he can if he can hit the ground running, if he can work hard. He didn't really show that when he played for Bottles, but if he can do that at Finn Harps, I think that'd be a very good signing for them. If he can recapture the form that he had at Waterford, then he'll be an unbelievable player for them, and that he could help them get out of that bottom two. I don't know. I just feel like they've lost a few players, obviously like Tunde and Coyle, who went to Shell. So I think that they're a lot weaker. But Ollie Horgan always manages to pull out the bag. They always somehow find a way to escape relegation, whether that be via the playoffs or finishing eighth with the skin of their teeth. But I think this year could be the year that they go down, depending on who they play in the playoffs. Obviously, if they do finish in there, but I've gone for Finn Harps in ninth, eighth. Again, there's probably a couple of teams I could finish here, but I've gone for Drogheda. Um, I think Drogheda, they're a decent team. They've got a few good players. They've lost a lot of good players, likes of Doyle and Phillips, who went to England. He went to Crystal Palace, but I think sorry about that. To go there for a second, but yeah, we were talking about Drogheda. Who I put down to finish eighth. They've lost a few players, like Doyle, James Brown went over to England, and Killian Phillips as well. But they've also lost their manager, Tim Clancy, to Pats. That's another big blow. But they've got an experienced coach there, and Kevin Doherty, who I think can do well with them. He knows the players. They've recruited okay. They brought in the likes of Dale Rooney, a couple of loans from Lincoln, Sean Rowan, and Sam Long. I think that's their names. They could do well. They've still got David on who I think is a decent keeper. Um, but I don't think there'll be much trouble in terms of relegation. But I think they'll finish eighth. Seventh, I've gone for Shells. I think again it's caught up between them two for seventh and eighth. But I think Shells obviously they've got a new manager and Damien Duff, who is a sort of not. He's a bit of a he's new to management really. He was obviously a really good player when he played, but I think he coached him at 17s, and I think he can definitely get something out of the Shells team. They've recruited well, like Survey Durban. Arnold Driscoll, two players from Longford. I think I sort of expect them to do a little bit more. Obviously, they were linked with Wes Houlihan. That probably looks like it's going to be happening in the summer. He'll be a really good addition whenever he comes in if he does. But I think I don't think they'll be in trouble. I think they'll do okay. I think they'll probably take a seventh place finish. You know, they've struggled the past couple of years. When they came back up, they went down with a bit of a whimper. In the playoffs against Longford, their performances towards the end of that season were very bad. Um, but I don't think it'll be like that this year. I think they'll do okay. Not anything spectacular, but I think they'll be okay. Sixth may shock a few people, maybe not, but I've gone for Sligo. Big players that they've lost, like the Johnny Kenny, John Madden. They lost Romeo Park as well, but no, he wasn't really that much of a key player for them last year. And I don't think they've replaced him very well. They've brought players like Aidan Keena, who had a good track record as a young player, but can he score goals in League of Ireland? We'll see. I've heard good things about him. I know they are looking to bring in a few more. They brought in a player on loan from Rio Ave. Um, Nando something. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I think that's what his name is. Um, who obviously we really don't know about. As I said, I think they're going to try to bring in a few more before the season starts. And who knows how they could do. They could push for a European place, but I think they'll probably finish about mid-table again. Big players lost, a few players that they probably end up don't know much about, that not many people in the league know about. So that's why I put them in sixth. Who knows? They could push higher, but I think for now six is probably a suitable position for them. Fifth, I've gone with Dundalk. It's hard to kind of tell where Dundalk are going to go this season, what path they're going to go down. They brought in a few experienced players like Keith Ward from us, Robbie Benson, John Mountney, couple of other good quality players. Lad from UCD, sorry, Waterford, John Martin, a couple of players from who are Welsh, Williams, and I can't remember the other one's name. And I think they brought a keeper in from Brentford, Shepherd. Yeah, they are unknown to the League of Ireland. They could come in and do very well. We'll just have to wait and see. They've got enough experience there. They've obviously got O'Donnell in as their manager, former player. He'll get the best out of the players. I'm sure of that. He done really well with Pats, obviously winning them the cup and getting them second in the league. But I think they're kind of in a rebuilding period. They had a few players that were who had good reputations, but just couldn't quite hack it in the League of Ireland and have left since and were on big wages. They kind of went through a bit of a sour patch as a club. But there was protests against the owners. They're gone now. New owners in, so it's all about kind of rebuilding Dundalk. I think they probably take fifth. They'd obviously want to get into Europe, but I just don't think the squad is quite there yet. But we'll just have to wait and see. Um, Fourth, I'm gonna go with Bows. This is a big season for us. I think if you look at the players that we brought in, they have good reputations. Like the Jordan Doherty, who's played over in America, Cassidy and McKiernan, who've played in the 23s football for Watford. Um, Chris Twardick, who was he was with us previous, was very good, and he's gone over to like Czech Republic since, and he was over at Slovakia as well, and done okay there. Um, so I think, obviously recovering from the cup final, recovering from a disappointing season, losing a few key players, Georgie Kelly, Ross Tierney, Boko Cornwall. Uh, it looked like at one stage we were going to lose Dawson Boy, but it's good that we've kept them. Um, you know, and we brought in a few other players, like Jordan Flores, who has experience in the League of Ireland and done quite well for Dundalk. Um, Junior, who quite hot and cold. Was very good at Derry in those two spells. He was on loan there last year, and the spell he had there a couple of years ago, he done very well there, but he was quite hit and miss at Sligo and Dundalk. Hopefully Keith Long can get something out of him because Keith Long has done that in the past where he's got the best out players who have struggled. Um, Again, you could argue that it's kind of a rebuild for us again. Like what the fourth or fifth season in a row now. We've lost a lot of players, and we're bringing in new players who are some who are new to the league, some who've been here before and done okay. I think we'll definitely be good enough to get into the top four. We could slip a bit lower. A cup run would be nice. Again, maybe try win it this time, not go all the way to the final and lose. But I think we'll have a decent season. I know some people were worried whether it'd be mid-table, lower, but I think we'll have a decent year, get into the top four. Hopefully that can guarantee us Europe, whether someone above us wins the cup or us ourselves can win the cup. That'd be brilliant. Um, the worry would be that we've lost a lot of experienced players, like I mentioned, Rob Cornwall, Keith Buckley, Bordy. But I think the quality has improved in those areas, despite particularly in the midfield. I think the defense probably need a little bit of working on. Brian Grant Horton on loan from Cheltenham, who we don't know an awful lot about, but hopefully he can be the one to replace the likes of Cornwall and other players that we've lost. So I think Ford would be a decent finish for us. I think most fans would take that. Top three now. Third, I've gone for Pats. I think they've recruited very well. Owen Doyle, I think, is going to score goals for fun in the league next year. He's a really good goal scorer. He's done it in England. He'll definitely do it over here. Tunde Awolabi is a very good player as well. I thought he was great for Finn Harps last year. He was someone who I would have loved Boss to sign, but it didn't materialise in the end. I know there was interest, but I don't know how seriously we were in for him. Aldo Breslin, obviously, he signed from us. Um, with other players as well. They've recruited very well. Joe Redmond, obviously Tim Clancy's a new manager. They lost their manager O'Donnell. That's a blow, but Tim Clancy's a good young manager who plays attractive football. Um, I think they'll be in for a decent year. I think, obviously they've got Europe as well this year to focus on. Um, I think it's exciting times ahead for Pats. I think they'll have another good year. Obviously, they lost Yaros, who was on loan from Liverpool. I think he's gone to Notts County now. Um, Brought in a keeper from West Ham on loan. I don't know an awful lot about. Um, so we'll just have to see how he gets on. But I think they'll be in for another decent year. I don't think they'll be quite as good as they were last year um, under O'Donnell. Although I think they probably do have a better squad. You've lost some players like Lee Desmond, who I think is a huge loss. Kept out the likes of Chris Forrester, who's a very good midfielder. I think Desmond and Yaros are big losses for them. But I think the overall quality of the team is good enough to get into the top three, and hopefully, for them they can have a good cup run, do well in Europe, and take it from there. Second, I've gone for Derry. Obviously they've recruited quite well. They brought in the likes of Duffy, McElhenney, Matty Smith, Cameron Dummigan, Brandon Kavanagh, Brian Maher. They're very good signings. I think they already had a very good squad last year, and they've added a lot to it. I think right now they are probably the team that can challenge the team that have gone with them first. Which you can probably guess. I think obviously the money's there now. They can bring in the players that they want. They can bring in the players that can help them challenge for the title. I think they'll have a very good year this year. I think they have a good shot of doing well in the cup. I think they got Europe as well. I think they can do well in Europe too, depending on who they can draw, obviously. Um, yeah, and I think Rory Higgins is a really good manager as well. I think I like the football he plays. He gets that Derry team. He gets his club, so I think they'll have a very good year this year, Derry. I know it could all it might not all work out. Obviously, it's known that clubs, once they get a bit of money, they kind of be a bit trigger happy with it, and just spend loads of money and not particularly do well. But I don't think that's the case with Derry. I think they're a well-run club, and that they'll do well this year. I think they'll challenge the team that I'm going to go in first. I think they'll challenge them probably right till the end, nearly, but maybe not. I think they'll put up a fight at least. First, I've gone for Rovers. As much as I don't like saying it, I don't think many will come that close. I know I said Derry might, but just can't see anyone kind of overtaking them. They've recruited well again, bringing in Andy Lyons from Bowes, bringing back Jack Bourne, not losing many players. I think they could have done with maybe a striker. Um, I don't know about Gaffney and Green, whether they score enough goals, but I think around them they've got goals in Burke and Mandrill and Jack Bourne. And they've got a good defence as well. I think no one can really stop them in the league. I think they've got loads of quality, they've got options. Now, if you look at the midfield, the amount of options they've got Bourne, they've got Mandrill, they've got Gary O'Neill, they've got Richie Tell, they've got and Chris McCann. They've got options. They've got a good few young players coming through as well. They've got options in defence. I know Joey O'Brien will be a big loss, but they've got still got players like Grace, Lopez, Lyons, Ferrugia, Brown and Finn who can play in there as well. So, as much as I don't like saying I was a Bowers fan, I just can't see many coming close to Rovers. And I think they've got a good chance of winning the cup as well. So that's my predictions. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you disagree with anything? Do you agree on anything? Where do you think Falls will finish? Do you think I've been a bit generous putting us in fourth, or do you think we should put us a bit lower, or do you think I'm right in saying that we can definitely push for the top four and maybe go on a cup run? So that's where I'll end it. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment down below, obviously as I mentioned, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.